Good afternoon. I hope everyone is doing well. It's a pleasure to have you all join us today. My name is Jerusalem Bella. I am a business development officer at Actio. And on the behalf of the team, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you who's joining us today. We have prepared an engaging and insightful event for you all. And we have speakers with an extensive experience in technology and in management to share their knowledge and experience on their field. Throughout the webinar, we will delve into the topic of the power of AI and the risk management, which is not only relevant, but also highly valuable in today's rapidly evolving business landscape. In our webinar, we have exciting lined up for you guys, so please stay tuned. So we will be kicking off this session with our first speaker, Bernardo Miranda. Bernardo is a member of Falconi's executive board. He is co-responsible for managing Falconi's strategic plan and expansion in North American markets. Today, he will be talking about the importance of AI for management. Next, we have Guilherme Barbassa, who we call Guy, who's also the founder and the CEO of Actio. Actio is a company committed to digital transformation in the management processes, and he has more than 20 years of experience in consulting large companies. Guilherme will walk us through the integration of ChatGPT with Actio's risk management solution, Belt. He will delve into how this integration became a reality and the benefit it brings to our management practice. Last, we have Hitakshi Tamboli, who is actively driving the business development of Actio in North America. She is passionate about leveraging emerging technologies to create innovative solutions. She will walk us through a belt, which is our risk management solution. She will demonstrate how we can leverage the power of ChatGPT to support our risk management process. So I encourage you all to stay till the end. Okay. So Actio is the organizer who has brought us here together today. So to give you a brief introduction about Actio, Actio is a software company focusing on the digitization of management processes. So Actio has 4 main products in the global market, each specializing in specific management processes. So we have Seed, which focuses on strategy execution, Lift for people management, and also we have a solution for managing a compensation, which we call Belt. Another module that we have is an enterprise risk management belt, which is the focus of our discussion today. So, at the beginning of this year, Actio started its operation in North America, and at the same time, generative AI has become a huge topic of discussion. And Actio actively started using it as a source of innovation. And today, we will see a demonstration of this feature. So I would like to tell you in advance that we are recording this video, and we'll be sending you the recording and the presentation material in case you missed it, or if you wish to share it with your network. And during this session, we wanted to hear your questions, so we have used the Slido, so you can scan the QR code that we have here, or we'll also put it in the chat, the link you can use to put in your question. So I'll come back at the end to make sure that your questions are answered. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Bernardo to talk about the importance of AI.
So thank you for the introduction. It's a pleasure for me to represent Falconi here today, discussing this so relevant theme that it's the application of AI nowadays. So you can skip to the next page, please. So just a quick introduction. I'm a senior partner of Falconi. Falconi is a consulting firm that it's passionate to regarding how to solve problems. And usually we do this based on the combination of two things, management and technology. So we have been working for like the largest companies in the world, supporting these guys to solve their operating problems, applying management methodology together with technology. And based on that, we have been discussing with a lot of CEOs, COOs, and leadership of these companies about what are their concerns about the exercise to solve problems in the next years. And something that caught our attention, it's how AI it's becoming a so relevant uh, topic, uh, I would say in a monthly basis. So if this is a survey that we did a few months ago, but for sure if we apply the survey again, we will see that the numbers is even higher. So what we were like trying to achieve on this survey, and I think this is pretty much the main message that I would like to share with you all today. So first of all, it's what is the percentage of the C level executives that are concerned about AI? So 84% of these executives, they really believe that AI will reshape how the business will look in the next years. Uh, and this is how can I say it? This is something very, very relevant, because based on this assumption, the next question that comes after, it's okay, but how I'm going to implement that? How I'm going to start to use AI in order to have something that will generate value? Because what these guys they want to avoid is to invest money, is to invest in projects that will not support them to leverage their results. So I think the key questions that we have here is, indeed, AI, it's a relevant topic. Indeed, all the executive level in the largest companies in nowadays are discussing about that. And indeed, they want to understand how they will blend this kind of technology in their daily routine in order to extract value. So, and I think today with Actio, we'll have some visibility about how to do that. But before, I would like to share some thoughts about what is the journey to start to apply AI, or to answer the question that this survey that we are looking the results right now, we're asking. Can you skip to the next slide, please? Okay. So this is we here in Falcone, this is I would say a framework that we use to explain what is the journey in order to start to apply AI. So a lot of times when we are running our projects, and our projects mainly are divided like in three parts. We have a diagnosis that usually takes about something between 6 and 8 weeks. We have a planning phase that in average takes like 8 to 10 weeks, and therefore we have a implementation. And as I mentioned on the beginning, our target, it's always to like solve operational issue that the company is facing, something such as losses, yield optimization, so operational problems. And when we apply this journey to support these companies to solve their problems, something that we are always looking very close, it's how we can apply AI to speed this journey, or to uh, generate more value to our client. And usually this is how we assess the journey. So first of all, it's very hard to talk about AI if we don't have data. So data, it's a key thing. It looks very simple, but in the majority of the companies that we work together, these guys they don't have data. and we're talking about like very, very large companies. And it's very, very, we usually we have this view that because they are like very large, they have a lot of data available, but usually they don't. So ask yourself if you have the proper data to start to use. It's very important. And if you don't have, my suggestion is to start to organize yourself to collect the data as soon as possible. Doesn't matter if you know how to use or if you don't. It's important to collect. Second, it's based on this data collection when you start to apply any kind of analytics in order to take conclusion. But in the beginning, on this journey, or the second step of this journey, it's very related how you can improve your decision making process, but based on what happened in the past. So you don't have the machine learning or the AI supporting you to understand the data and to forecast the best decisions, but it's part of the journey. The third step, it's when indeed you have data, you understand your process, you have your models, and you have this blended in your daily routine operations. You have the systems such as Actio, you have the data, you have the procedures, and people are running their routine using this as a tool. So again, this is the third step of the journey. And last but not least, I think the most important is when you have the data it's very well organized through your routines and your process. People are using this to take better decisions, but now you are in a level that you can put on top of that the AI, and therefore you start to automate your decision making process, and therefore you can do this using less resources, and you can be more pragmatic because you are using more data to support your decisions. And I think this is a journey that all the companies will need to face at some moment. For sure, who is working right now in a business that it's close to the financial market, they will see that they are more advanced. On the other hand, if we're working in the manufacturing part, for instance, steel, you will see that you are a bit behind, but doesn't matter if you are ahead or behind, you will need to have this kind of conversation, and you will need to start to invest on this, because if you do that, if you don't do that over time, you will have less I would say competitive advantage against your competitors. And I think the idea here today, it's completely aligned with that. It's completely aligned regarding assuming that AI it's a key topic for the market, assuming this is something that the C level it's discussing all the time, and assuming that doesn't matter if you are in a business that is right now running in a more advanced environment, or if you are in an environment that it's less intense on data, you will need to have discussions about it. And the application that we'll show here today, it's something very simple, very straightforward, connected with risk that everybody here can use in order to solve the question that all the C-level is doing for themselves in nowadays, how we can use AI to leverage our results. And I will pass the torch to Guy that will deep dive on in the examples regarding how we can solve this I would say these questions, right, Guy, and start to generate value to the shareholders using or applying AI as fast as possible with low investment.
Hi, all. Thank you for coming today. As Bernardo said, I'm going to talk a little bit about ChatGPT and how we integrated it with our enterprise risk management module, and what values does that bring to you, to the end user in the final instance. So first, I'll take a look, just level the knowledge about ChatGPT. Could you, yeah. ChatGPT is a generative AI, right? So it's a large language model. So it's an artificial intelligence where to which it was uploaded an enormous amount of information and human knowledge, and it processes all that in such a way that it can communicate and interact with human beings in a very natural way. Okay, so ChatGPT was presented to the market in the ends of last year, ends of 2022, and it was the fastest adopted technology in the history of mankind. So that's not small feat, right? Um, the first time I interacted with it, I was amazed of its power and its capabilities, and I started to have a glimpse of how it can influence our lives in a professional manner, in a personal manner, and how ubiquitous it's going to become because of its ease of interaction and the capabilities behind this technology. Um, so it's huge. It's super powerful, but it does has its flaws. It does have its shortcomings. For example, it extracts its information from human generated information that was uploaded to the artificial intelligence. So that means that all the biases that exist in this information that was uploaded to ChatGPT will persist in the artificial intelligence. So it has biases, the same biases that the collection of human knowledge has, right? Another shortcoming, a relevant shortcoming, is it does not have any empathy. It is an artificial intelligence. It doesn't understand the emotions behind um, every sentence, right? Something that human beings can do even as children. So all of these shortcomings and many others are still being worked on, and we're seeing continued improvement on this technology on a monthly basis. Not only through OpenAI, that is the company that launched ChatGPT, but also with other companies that are launching other similar modules competing with this very dynamic and rapidly evolving market of generative AIs. Okay, we see it basically every day, news about evolution and change on this market. One question that I'm often asked is, how do we perceive the interaction between human beings and artificial intelligence? My personal, and the question ends up in, will it substitute our jobs, right? My personal perspective on it is that it is going to substitute some jobs, but the main function in the future, as I see it, won't be to do what human beings do, but to work alongside human beings, assisting human beings, making them more productive, more precise, and using better their time interacting with artificial intelligence while they do their job, right? So I see it as a technology that will leverage humans' capabilities and not substitute humans. And that perspective is the perspective that we adopted when we integrated with our software, right? Another question and point of concern is about data privacy. So if you use ChatGPT on OpenAI's website, that information that you're uploading there can be used to train the algorithm. So it's going to be refed into the algorithm, so it'll become better, right? Uh, but with that, you don't really know where that information can pop up, right? If you use it on the OpenAI side. But that's not the way that we did it here in Actio. So we integrated with ChatGPT using the APIs. That is a different channel, right? And the information that you feed our artificial intelligence that is connected to ChatGPT, but through Actio software, will not be used to train the algorithm, will not be used actually for any other purpose other than the immediate response that the end user will receive from the AI. Okay, so these terms are in OpenAI's privacy policy and very legally binding. So that makes us very comfortable in um, uh, developing this feature in our software. Okay, the fact that that information won't be used for anything else. Could you please? Yep. So Belt is our enterprise risk management product within Actio, and it's the topic of today's conversation. We're very proud of announcing that we're the pioneer in integrating ChatGPT into an enterprise risk management software. So this is a first time that you guys are going to be able to see it working today as a first time public showcase. Okay, so this is something that makes us very proud, and I'll talk a little bit about the journey that we went through with this integration. This journey, I think, it's interesting to talk about. Could you? Sorry, before talking about the journey, I'd like just to contextualize what value does ChatGPT actually add to the process of enterprise risk management. So for that, we divided the market in our conception in 3 stages. The first stage is companies that use what we call the manual ERP. The manual ERP, we identify it when we see the process being run based on spreadsheets like Excel, or presented in PowerPoint and communicated through emails and using Power BI or other BIs to execute the process. This is a process that hasn't gone through a digital transformation yet, right? So it has many problems. Problems like lack of transparency. So this information tend to be centralized and not being as updated and transparent to everyone. What are the risks? Who's doing what about each risk? You know, what we should be concerned about. It doesn't have a degree of transparency that help engage the whole company with the process. Another problem with this is reliability of the information. So the information that I'm looking at in a PowerPoint, is it the latest assessment of this risk? The status of a mitigation plan, is it the latest, or is the same information outdated? So the reliability of data is also a problem when you don't have it automated in some way, right? and it's also very time consuming. So for you to update everything, call up everyone that has a mitigation plan to understand the status, and assess the risks and understand the causes, it takes many, many hours. And these hours dedicated to operational tasks like this could be better used if you spent them doing analysis of the risks, or doing establishing controls and monitoring the risks, right? So that's also a problem here. You dedicate hours of specialized people in very operational tasks. So the first generation of digital transformation for ERM models is when you adopt a software like Belt to solve these problems, right? And in a certain level, automate the process. But it also has its own shortcomings, like mainly engaging people with the process. Okay, so we still have a problem of getting the leadership in the company involved with the risk management process, and not seeing risk management as something of the risk management office. You know, oh, it's risk. Okay, call the risk management office. Because if the leadership, the operations manager, the marketing manager, or HR manager aren't involved and engaged with the process, it'll definitely reduce its effectiveness, right? So how do we engage these people, the frontline leadership of the company, with the risks that they are the responsibles for? They are responsible for, right? One way is to empower them. So they have specific knowledge in their fields, but they're not risk management specialists. So they don't feel free to execute the process by themselves. And that's where ChatGPT can help empower the leadership. With this empowerment, giving them the freedom to do it, they will be more engaged, and the process as a whole will be more effective. Okay, so this is the second generation of digital transformation: a software that automates the process, powered or leveraged by artificial intelligence that helps take the process from a centralized risk management office to the front lines of the company, right? So this is the AI-powered digital ERM. Okay, and this is what we're showcasing today. Could you change? Right. So our journey of integrating the AI with our software, I think it's very interesting, because this is a technology that is going to be ubiquitous, right? It's going to be everywhere in our business, professional life, in our personal life, and some degree of integration all of us will go through. Right? So telling you our experience might add some value to you guys as well. We didn't begin this, ends of last year. We began this a few years ago, when we monitoring the technology that was, rising. And we are a technology company. We're not just a technology company. We're a technology company that help our clients do their digital transformation. So we're involved with technology in every aspect. And we saw AI coming as a future, potentially very powerful technology a few years ago, and we started monitoring it and preparing our team for that. Right. So our data scientists, we sent them to graduate school to learn AI. We created internal study groups to disseminate the knowledge of AI within our company. So when OpenAI launched ChatGPT last year, we were ready for it. We were ready to integrate this new technology in our software. And the first interactions we had in trying to do this integration were very straightforward. So we accessed ChatGPT and asked, oh, could you list a few risks associated to this project or to this strategic objective or to this process? And the answer we got back was actually pretty frustrating, right? Because the answer was very generic. So we were talking about specific cases, people with deep knowledge about that specific process, that specific project, knew more than what ChatGPT was bringing in. So it wasn't really adding any new value. And that was our challenge. We have this very powerful tool. If we integrate it without adding value to the end user, it's just going to be a curiosity. It's not going to really generate value for the user or for our clients. So we started tinkering with how could we interact with this technology in such a way that it would bring real value to the user. And we did this many hours through trial and error with what today is being called prompt engineering. Right? So how could we ask, or what could we ask to get the answers that we would like, right? And after doing that for a long time, we came up with two models that we believe add real value to the end users. One model is what we call guide. So differently from the standard way of interacting with ChatGPT, that is the user making a question and ChatGPT answering it, in this model, we reverse the roles, where ChatGPT asks the user questions and the user enters its answers. And why did we do that? Because the specific case for which the user is trying to find an answer, who has this information, who has this knowledge, is the human being, is the expert in that specific problem. And what ChatGPT helps is guide him through the process of finding an answer, right? So an operational manager, he's an expert in that operation, but he's not an expert in risk management. So he doesn't really know how to, what questions will he have to answer to get to the response he needs, be it find the risks for this project, for example, or which controls should I apply? What are the possible causes? What are the possible consequences? All of these questions, ChatGPT can help you guide the user through the process, actually empowering him in doing so without having an expert in risk management beside him. Right? So this is the model we call guide. And the other model is we call insight. And this model uses the capability of ChatGPT of summarizing a lot of information into key points or relevant points, right? So this happens a lot, and human beings are limited in how much information they can take in and understand and process at once, right? So this, for example, when I see a dashboard, there are lots of information here. When I see a risk, I have the risk, but I have all the mitigation plans that were done in the past and present, all the assessments of this risks, the controls, the measurement on these controls, contingency plans. So I have lots of information around the risk that I have to process to understand what's really going on with this risk, right? So ChatGPT in this model Insight is fed this information and returns with a summary and what's relevant, what I should be looking at, right, within all of this information. So this is the model we call Insights. And Sophie is our virtual consultant. So the AI we integrated, we're calling her Sophie. Behind Sophie, there is ChatGPT, but we gave her a personality, I guess. Could you pass on? Well, next steps. We're already working on the next generation of ChatGPT. So we're working on a fine-tuned model using ChatGPT 4.0 to better respond these specific questions that we make while we're using the software. So we're working on increasing the effectiveness of the response, right? Right now, we're running pilots with a few clients. And from these pilots, we're learning from it to improve the interaction. And we're rolling out this new feature of the integration August 1st to all of our clients. So these are the next steps. And before we move on to the presentation, I'd like to ask your help responding the feedback survey that we prepared so we can better generate these events that we do with you guys. If you have less than 5 minutes, you're gonna find the survey on the chat for this meeting. Okay, so just click on the link whenever you have time and fill in the survey for us. It's always of great help. And also, we created a group in LinkedIn where we're aiming to form a community of risk managers. And in this group, we call on you to share material about risk management. We're going to also share material that we generate. And it can be a point of connection between us all. So there's also going to be a link in the chat for the LinkedIn group. Feel free to participate and collaborate as well. Thank you all. I'll call Hitachi now to run the demo for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Guy. Uh, Guy, could you confirm if my screen is visible?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Now let's see what we are all anxious to see and excited to see in action, how the belt and ChatGPT together can help in our risk management process. To better stimulate the software demonstration, we have created one scenario for you. Imagine that I'm an operations manager at an hospital who is specialized in cancer treatment, and the hospital is purchasing a new CT scan machine. As we all know, the CT scan machines are a big capital investment, and this machine is radioactive as well. It has a risky procedures with patients, and there are lots of risk related to it. Also, to secure such big investment, hospital wants to buy an insurance. And if you don't have a risk management process in place, this risk insurance can be very expensive. So, as an operations manager, I own all the risk related to this CT scan machine, but I'm no expert in this area. Let's see how, with using Belt and ChatGPT together, we can manage this risk. Okay, So these are the steps we will going to follow in the software as I log in to manage this CT scan related risk. First, we will do identification. We'll identify the risk related to the CT scan machine, and then we'll create a mitigation plan to minimize this risk. We'll perform the risk analysis as well, where we will find the causes and consequences related to this risk. Later, we will establish a control. In case if this risk happen, we should have something in place that can minimize the impact or maybe prevent it from happening. That will do at the control phase. Then we'll do the risk assessment and will measure the score of the inherent risk we have. Even after having a mitigation plan in place and control, there is a possibility that risk still might happen. That we can capture at the risk event level and can have a contingency plan ready for those risks. At the last, I'll conclude this software presentation by generating insights from the risk. So without wasting any more time, let's log into the software. Okay, as soon as I log in into the system, I will see the individual dashboard page. Here, based on the level of access the person has in the system, they will see their own risk, or also what are my pending tasks, my assessment, and what are my actions. When in the calendar, you can see when this action is started and when it is due, along with the overall status of those action. From the individual dashboard, I can also access the risk dashboard as well. Here I am going to the ESG risk. Here I can get the overview of all the ESG related risk that I have in the system and how those risks are doing. And in the matrix, I can see at what level this risk are. On the matrix, I see that one of the risk is at the very critical level. And if I want to have more information about the system from dashboard itself, you can access that risk and can understand it better. Now, but for this particular scenario of CT scan machine, I am purchasing a new asset. So I'm interested to know more first about how my asset related risks are doing. So I will go into the asset dashboard, and here I'm seeing the overview of all the asset related risk. In the pie graph here, I'm seeing that I have a 4 category of asset, and I already have a three medical equipment related asset and what how these assets are doing. Here, I also have the comments from the manager who is responsible for that asset, having this analysis of this dashboard. I also have the overview of action plan that I have for this asset in place. Now that I have a good understanding of how my asset risk are doing from the dashboard, let's go into the system and register our new asset, which is our CT scan machine. For doing that, I will go into the mapped impacted items. Here in the impacted items, I'll click on the plus button and I will register my new asset, a CT scan machine. In this screen, you can add the description of my new machine along with the area who is responsible for looking after the operations of this machine and the particular responsible person who will see this machine. Okay, so now we have added the new asset. Here I can see that I have added this asset in the impacted item asset category under the physical equipment along with my other medical equipments that I have in the system. Okay, before we move forward, what we mean by impacted item in the system is anything that has risk attached to it. It can either be a asset, a contract, a process. It also can be your project or strategic objective. You can add this in here and can link your risk with it so that you can have an overall view at the process level that how my risk are doing. Okay, so now that we have added a new asset, let's identify the risk. Risk identification is our first step. Let's do that. So as we click on the Sophie button, risk identification in here, the pop-up window will come up. Here, it's important to notice that it's not just it started listing all the risk related to the CT scan machine. Instead, it is asking me a question. And also, it is interesting to see that this question is particular to the CT scan machine. And it wants to understand that how am I using this machine in the business. So this is the example of the guide model that Guy explained. What this Sophie is doing it in here, it is asking me a question that how is the what is relevant for my business. As an operations manager, I know what is going on the ground, and I understand that what is relevant. So I will input those information uh, you through this question answer session, and this question answer session will also help me as an operation manager to understand the different angles. Here you see the first question was about how am I using this machine in my business. So I replied by saying that okay, I'm in a hospital, we are treating cancer, we are using this CT scan machine to diagnose our patients. It also wants to know how often I'm using it. So it's for a daily use. We will be doing at least 32 scans per day, and it will be used for long hours. It also wants to know if I, for the maintenance and repair, if do I have any process in place? Is there any responsible person for that? So what all I have are currently available. That's also it is asking me. So this is the conversation that I had with my Sophie virtual consultant for the CT scan machine. Okay. So once I answer all the question, now it will list the risk related to the CT scan machine. So it has suggested few of the risk like technical malfunction related risk, downtime time, and radiation exposure, compliance. Okay, and it's a good information to start with. But I'm an operations manager and I don't have any good idea about the technicality of this machine. So I wanted to know more about it. I understand that it's a radioactive machine, but what are the specific risk related to the technical malfunction that I want to understand? So I'm asking ChatGPT or Sophie, virtual assistant, again about giving me a details about that. Okay, so here it has listed few risk for me related to the technical malfunction, which is delayed in diagnosis. That can be the repair can be really costly. There are safety related risk, and in this case, there can be a risk of a reputational damage. Okay, so now let's understand what kind of safety risk are related to this. So it has listed for me like radiation exposure, electric hazard, mechanical hazard, and so on. Radiation exposure is something that seems pretty serious to me. So I want to know if any kind of this event with this machine has happened in the past. So this information I'm asking ChatGPT. So it is saying that yes, there has been an instant in the past, and this can be really critical. So this risk seems important to me. So I will click on the plus risk button and go ahead and register this risk in the system. Here, what you are saying is risk registration screen. Okay, so uh, here I can put the description of my risk, which area will responsible for that, what matrix I will going to use to assess this risk, how frequently I will assess, who will be responsible for that, all the information I will do, and I will save it in the system. So now we have identified our risk and we are done with our first step. Now let's create a mitigation plan to minimize this risk. For that, we'll go into the system and we'll click on the action plan tab. And again, in the same way, we are clicking on the Sophie virtual assistant button to help me with my mitigation plan creation process. Here, it is also following the same dynamic where it is asking me question to understand uh, what is relevant for my case. As an operations manager, I understand that what's going on the ground, and based on that, I will provide the information. It is asking me question about how often I'm exposed to that risk, and we are using it for daily use, so it's obviously daily we are exposed to this risk. So this conversation will go on until it has a little amount of information that it can process to better give me suggestions. Okay, now that once it is satisfied with my answer, it has listed few risks for me, sorry, few action plans for me. Now, based on the resource I have available, based on the operations that I do, what is something that I can take into consideration? Based on that, I will select that is relevant for my case, and I will go ahead and add that in the system. Okay. Okay, here you are seeing a Gantt chart view of the actions that I have added. Along with the actions, you can also add the responsible person and when the action will start and when the actions will end. We also have the Kanban view, which is quite easier to maintain the status of this action. In here, ChatGPT helped us to identify the action. But with Belt, we can make sure that the people who are responsible for this particular actions are implementing and executing those actions, and we can also follow up on action by keeping track of this. This is the way, using this both the technology, we can increase the engagement in the risk management process. Okay, now that we have action in place, let's analyze our risk. I want to understand and link in here that what is something that can trigger this risk, what can be the possible causes of this risk. In the similar way, we'll ask ChatGPT to help us with this. As soon as I click, following the same dynamic, it is asking me a question to understand a context. Okay, here you see it is satisfied with only one question and has started listing possible causes that can be applied to this case. As we enter more information in this risk, it will start asking less questions. The guide process is about knowing your risk and getting information from you, and then generate the answer based on that. For this case, the causes like lack of maintenance, monitoring related causes, that if there is an inadequate safety protocols or training related causes seems relevant for my case. So I have added that in the system. In the similar way, I can also analyze the consequences. What can be the probable impact of this risk in the system? Now, as soon as I click on the button, here you can notice it is not asking me any questions. And now the system have or this particular risk have enough information to generate good suggestions. So it is directly giving me the list of causes possible. Here there is a causes that can be a consequences of potential fines. There can be a legal and liability issue if this risk happen, a lawsuit, and again, as an operations manager, I don't have expertise in this area. So what I'm doing is I'm asking question to ChatGPT to give me more details about this, so that I can understand better the what is the depth of this consequences. If I don't have the system in place, we probably need a consultant on side to understand, okay, what the legal, someone who is expert in legal cases, and to understand the this consequences level. But with ChatGPT, we can just identify this consequences and can add this in the system so that we can work on that. Okay, so now we have added our causes and the consequences. Okay. Now that we have done, let's do the controls. What can I do from not happening this risk, and also if it happens, what corrective actions I can take. Again, in here, it is not asking me any question. It is listing controls for me. And it is important to notice that there is two types of control it is suggesting me here: preventive controls and corrective controls. In the belt software, we have this bifurcation of controls in place. So what we do in here, we link our preventive control with our causes to understand that how can we stop this risk from happening. And we also apply our corrective controls. We link our corrective controls with our consequences to minimize the impact. And system is the ChatGPT is giving me answer in that pattern only, so it will be easier for me. Also, while the system is registering this controls in the system, I would like to highlight that using belt, you can also assess the effectiveness of the controls in the software, and system is capable for calculating residual risk based on the effectiveness of this control automatically. Okay, so now we have added all our controls. As I see, we can link it with our causes and consequences. So that I'm doing it here. Okay, so as you can see in this bow tie analysis, on the left hand side, I have all my causes with my preventive controls and my all the consequences with the corrective controls. Imagine you have to perform this kind of a risk analysis, the bow tie analysis that we are seeing in here, on your own, especially when you are not expert in the risk management. You will need a consultant by your side for helping you with this. With ChatGPT and the belt software, we can empower our managers to do such kind of analysis on their own. And the good thing about is that they have their expertise inbuilt in this analysis, which is not something that the risk management office gave you. Okay, now we have control, causes, consequences, everything in place. Let's assess our risk. Let's find this, let's measure how our risk is at this stage. For that, we can go and do the risk evaluation. We can select the probability and severity level, and software will calculate the score accordingly. The score, the matrix for the score also you can design in the system, and which can be particular to your context, and you can customize it as per your need. Okay, moving forward. As I mentioned, even after doing this much, having mitigation plan, controls in place, there is a very high chances that this risk still might happen. So I want to understand that for particular cause or for the particular consequence, what kind of action I will take in case this risk happens. For that, I can register a risk event. In case if this risk happens, what I will do is I will have a contingency plan ready. If somebody is exposed to radiation, I will have my anti-radiation medication plan ready, so that even if the risk happens, I will be ready for that. What else I can do is monitor this patient in ICU to control it further. And for that also, the plan I can have in the place along with the responsible person who will look after this. Okay, now coming to the part insights. For now, everything that we have seen is in terms of the scenario we built, which is our uh, CT scan scenario. I want to just understand at the overall level that what are my critical risk, and I want to generate insights for that. For that, whatever I'm going to do is will go to my risk matrix, will have that has an overall view of all my risk. And here I can see that there are four risks which is critical in my situation, in my organization, and one of them is the chemical waste management. So from the dashboard again, risk matrix again, I will go and see the details of this uh, risk. And as I see, the last three evaluation that I have done is it's continuously increasing. So I'm just gonna click on the generate insight button, and I will ask ChatGPT to help me understand what is going on with this risk, why this risk is too high. So what ChatGPT will do is will take into account all the information that currently is there in the system. If it's risk analysis, my past evaluation, what are my current action plan in place, and if it still doesn't have the much information, it will gonna ask me few questions, and then it will start generating insights for me. As I can see here, it based on the insight, it is seems like I don't have a proper mitigation plan in place for this risk. So I need to have that. So I'm going ahead and asking some recommendation, and it is providing some recommendation for me. If, imagine doing this manually, processing all analyzing all your controls, your past evaluation, the mitigation plan that you have in action, how they are doing, and if something is not effective. Doing this analysis can be really time consuming. With ChatGPT and with Belt, you can do it very easily in a very short time. So it will increase the productivity and effectiveness of your managers as well. So this is the very basic overview of the our belt, which is quite focused on the ChatGPT functionality only. So if you want to know more about this belt software, which has many other functionalities for managing risk, I would encourage you to stay after this event, where we are also doing the belt presentation. So it will help you get a better idea about belt. And related to this presentation, especially ChatGPT functionality that we demonstrated, if you have any questions, please post on the Slido link that is given, and we are happy to answer that. I'm handing over to Jerry to um, de- take up those questions. Thank you.
You're on
Yeah.
mute.
Thank you, Hitakshi. We apologize for staying over time, and we saw that we have a few questions here, so we'll try to answer them. But if you don't have time to stay and get your answers, we are gonna send you an email. You can book time with us, and we'll make sure that all your questions are addressed. Yeah. So I'll start with a question for Bernardo. Can you give us an example of an automated decision making? Especially
Yes,
related to the last level of a business matrix.
yes. So today we have three kind of decisions that it's being automated very well in manufacturing on the planning part of the business. So the first of all, it's regarding what kind of SKUs it's necessary to have and what is like the order of the production. Uh, So this is something that it's being automated. So right now you have models that can forecast for you which kind of SKU you need to produce and when. Um, Second one is demand planning. It's automated as well. Overtime planning, it's something that it's being automated. And distribution or logistics, it's a different part of the business that we have a few process that it's being automated. You can see that the majority of the case it's regarding the planning part of the business itself.
Okay. Thank you. Next question we have is, what is the difference between insight and the existing summarizing capabilities of ChatGPT? So,
I can answer this one.
okay.
um, yeah, it is the same capability with the difference that if you do it through ChatGPT, you're going to have to input all of the information yourself. And while if you do it through the software, the information is fed automatically through the software directly to ChatGPT, plus the data privacy issue, right? So the information, if you do that through OpenAI website, ChatGPT, you're going to, that information is not secure, right? While if you do it through the software, it will be. But the capability itself is the same. What we have done is do the prompt engineering to get the, to know what information we have to upload to get the best response.
Okay. Thank you, Guy. So next question we have is related to ChatGPT data. And it asked, many ChatGPT engines operate on 2021 data or outdated data. While the use of it is instantaneous, how can we be sure the results are the most relevant?
Yeah, that's a limitation of ChatGPT today. It is limited to September 2021, the data. So the recommendations and suggestions are limited to information existing by then, right? But I remind you that what ChatGPT is doing is always suggesting the decision of what risks should be considered, the causes, consequence, controls, is always the human being. So you cannot delegate that to ChatGPT. It'll just suggest new things, and to the human being that is actually selecting what is relevant and what should be considered. Okay, I'll go on answering about ChatGPT because I saw some of the questions here. We use ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo through the API. So it has a lot better lag than the usual ChatGPT through OpenAI website. And I saw a question further down that asked if we're using ChatGPT 4. We're not using ChatGPT 4 yet. We're fine-tuning it for the next generation of this feature that we're going to provide. But for now, it's ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo.
Okay. So next question we have is related to the tools that we use. Can the resulting information be shared, downloaded, or extracted to other applications? Example, Excel, Word, and so on.
It's actually, do you want to pull this one or do I? Let me pull the question. Sorry.
Oh, yes. Can you hear me? Just want to make sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Let me read the question again. Can the resulting information be shared, downloaded, or the extracted to the other application, like Excel, Word, or yes. In the software, we have a feature to import and export as well. also where we can also have the bulk extraction from the system, and also we can upload in the system in the bulk as well. Also the reports and presentations and dashboard that you see, that also you can extract in the PDF format, and you can share it with somebody over the email, and that is very much possible in the system.
Thank you. Thank you, Hitakshi. Next question, can this be used with the various security frameworks with NISTA, ISO, cybersecurity frameworks, and so on?
Yes, it can. It's very flexible for you to configure the software to adapt to your own ERM and risk management process. So yes, it's very much adherent to these frameworks.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any universities that focus on strategic risk using this software?
Strategic risks?
Using this software, yeah.
I do believe so. We have universities that use both our SEED, that is our strategy execution module, integrated with BELT in such a way that the strategic objectives that are cascading through the KPIs and initiatives and projects are connected with their respective risks that are managed with BELT, our risk management module. So we have cases of integrating strategy execution with risk management seamlessly with these two modules.
Okay. So next question is related to the other softwares that we have. Are you doing this for the other modules as well?
Yes, we are for Seed, Lift, and Score. So all of them, obviously, the touch points with ChatGPT are different in each module, but in all of them, we have the integration and ChatGPT helping understand or find, for example, finding OKRs or finding potential projects to support a strategic objective, or helping gain insights on the performance of an employee, given its performance and its evaluations, present and past. So all of the modules have this integration present.
Okay, thank you. When implementing the BELT software, are you segregating each instance of OpenAI API key where my org data isn't commingled in your environment with another org?
No, it's completely segregated. So we do not, there's no chance of mixing information between companies. It's part of the privacy policy that OpenAI has, and our own privacy policy is to keep everything segregated.
Thank you. So we already answered that. What can we expect better in the advanced ChatGPT integration you mentioned?
Well, ChatGPT 4 has a lot more parameters than ChatGPT 3.5. So it will be a lot more precise in its answers, okay, and a lot more effective. I know I have seen some numbers. I won't remember exactly the numbers, but ChatGPT 3 making professional tests. In some, it varies depending on the professional test, but in tests that it goes like on the 35 percentile with using ChatGPT 3, it goes over 90%, 90 percentile if it goes to ChatGPT 4, right? So it uses a lot more information being processed to give your response. So it'll be more precise, right, in the answers.
Thank you for your answer. Uh, do you have a concrete example of how you used AI for a risk assessment?
Okay. We don't have that yet. Okay. The risk assessment will still count on human experts to quantify the risk. Okay. Bernardo talked about collecting data, and for each type of risk, it's a different type of AI you should use to do risk assessment on specific risks. But it is possible. The technology exists. You have to analyze risk by risk and collect data specific, risk specific data to use AI for risk assessment, right? So what we demonstrated today is a little different. It focuses on empowering the leadership and engaging them with the process, with the risk management process, not properly doing the risk assessment itself. Bernardo, do you want to complement this?
No, I think it's the I just want to emphasize how it's important to have this discussion right now, because the data collection is something that is going to be critical for all the companies in a very short term in order to use the benefit of the AI. And as Guilherme was mentioned, to have this structure done, to have the systems in place, extracting this data, following the proper standard, will be something that we probably everybody will invest time right now, or who invest time now will see tons of benefits in the very short term.
Uh, thank you. Thank you for all our speakers. I'm going to have to close the meeting now. We apologize for not answering all the questions, but as I mentioned, if you have more questions or if you still want some of the questions to be answered, please, you can schedule a meeting with us. So follow the link that we'll be sharing in your email.